improve. He wants to try to stay ahead of Kedrowski in second for the series, and Doug Henry coming off of a win.
That would be quite an accomplishment with a non-factory rider taking second in the point standing.
Look right there underneath Doug Henry's right foot. He's got a dirt clod, so he can keep his balance. He's not one of the taller riders, and I like where he's starting. Most of the good guys are on the inside. I think Jeremy's out too wide.
We're riding with Jeremy. That's Emig on the left. He got the whole shot. McGrath looks over to Henry on his left side and cuts underneath Emig on the turn. Jeremy McGrath out in front. Looks back at both Emig and Henry. The rest of the field flying through our Honda track cam.
Look at Jeremy getting away clean. He's got Doug Henry, Emig, Larry Ward is up in there. All the guys with good starts. This is an excellent race, and Jeremy on his way to possibly a record-breaking evening.
Yeah, David, and making that helmet cam a pretty boring shot till we get around to lappers.
Well, it's pretty neat to ride with Jeremy. Anytime I can ride with Jeremy, I'll take that opportunity.
McGrath number 1, Emig number 6, and Henry. They do a little bump action there. We thought we might see some bar banging action on this short track.
That's what you got to do to Jeremy. Get in there and run over his foot, show him a wheel. You know, try to keep the pressure on. Anytime you keep the pressure, and problems for Lewis.
Kyle Lewis going down, the first victim of this track in the 250 main. Shaking the cobwebs out of his head there. Jeremy McGrath, our leader, with Emig second, Henry third. Number 11, Larry Ward, is fourth. Fairly tight pack in the top 4 there.
Well, everyone's pretty much single filed out. It looks like a parade right now. This is going to be a difficult track to pass on, but every time I bring up that point it's difficult to pass, Jeremy does it. So.
And Hughes is now in 5th. Here's a good battle, Emig and Henry, and they love to go at one another.
I think Henry's faster than Jeff Emig. He was in the heat race, and if he can get around, he can challenge Jeremy. I don't think Emig is going to be a fight for Jeremy, but Henry is.
But Emig is very talented at using up the track.
Well, Emig uses up the entire track, rides a wide bike, as we've said before. You see right there, he came all the way from the outside back to the inside and cut off Doug Henry's line, and there's not much of a track to use here, so it should be pretty easy for him to hold off Henry.
If you're Henry, what do you do?
If I was Henry, I would get in there and get aggressive and probably take Emig out. I mean, just get in there and just bump him out of the way. That's the only way you can get around, and Emig's done it to other people and says he's sorry in the end, and it's water under the bridge a week later. So that's really the only opportunity he has.
Jeremy McGrath now about a 2-second lead on Emig and Henry. There's our battle for second place. Henry coming off a win. Emig's best finish was Houston, the second place. Let's go to Marty, who's with Steve Butler.
Steve, Jeff's in a real dogfight right now. Yeah, there's only 5 laps down, so another 15 to go. They're still pretty close to Jeremy, and I think Jeff's barely staying ahead of Doug, so they could maybe catch up to Jeremy. We'll see what happens.
Henry trying everything possible to get by Emig. He's going outside, inside, and Emig just swerving back and forth, taking the line that he wants, and a different line for Emig most of the time.
Sure, and I don't want to take anything away from Emig. He's riding great, and he's been riding a lot better lately up front, but I think Henry is faster than Emig, and I think he has the pace and the endurance and all the confidence now after winning in Dallas to run with Jeremy, but he's not going to get a chance unless he can get around Emig now.
Jeremy able to pull away just slightly on this short track, and we might reiterate for those tuning in late that the track here in Cleveland goes around a football field, but it's shorter, and we're looking at 40-second range lap times. The Honda helmet cam on top of Jeremy McGrath.
And unfortunately, all that picture is going to bring you is dirt. He has nobody in front of him, no riders to look at. Everything's going on behind him, and this is the real battle for second place. Henry trying everything he can do to get up there and challenge our leader, Jeremy McGrath. But he's got to get around Emig first, and as you can see, Emig isn't making it easy.
I think at a younger age, Henry might have tried something stupid by now, but he's learned patience in the game.
Well, I think so. I think he knows that in order to be consistent and be a threat to win a title, he can't, try so hard and make a move and crash and end up 9th instead of possibly picking up a 2nd or a 3rd. So, he doesn't look real patient right now, but he's still on 2 wheels.
Very aggressive, but smart riding for Doug Henry. They're in the battle for second place as we take a look at the Suzuki Field summary. McGrath out in front. Kudrowski mired in 8th. We'll be back in a moment. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed from Cleveland with Supercross action. Round number 13. Jeremy McGrath is out in front. This is the battle for second place. Jeff Emig, number 6. Doug Henry, number 4. Henry has been hounding Emig. Emig using the track well. So far has been able to fend him off. But look out. Here comes Henry on the inside. Henry into second place. Emig, though, is not giving up. He's coming right back.
And look at Emig, completely overjumps that jump just to take Henry almost off the track. And that's what it takes on a track like this. You've got to get aggressive, even border on a little bit of dirty riding in order to hold your position. Emig does it nice.
Emig putting the squeeze on Henry there. And oh, Henry makes a little mistake. Goes up on the berm. Dowd went down. Hughes moves in front of him. We've got a battle in the back of the pack now.
So now the one spot where Henry was strong and could get around Emig, as we're going to take another look at the replay. Right through there, he set himself up out of the other corner. He came out and positioned himself on the inside and just jumped in front of him. But the aggressive move by Emig right there, almost losing the front wheel and going down, but it paid off. And watch McGrath right here. He wheelies over those ruts, keeping that bike flat through those whoops.
McGrath, Emig, Henry, and Ward. Ward is not too far away from Henry after Henry's bobble.
Well, that tells me, Art, that Larry Ward is riding a fast pace because Henry and Emig have been flying, and Ward's catching them.
He's got a chance for the best Supercross season of his career should he continue in second place in the point standings. He's got a lot on the line tonight, not only the 28th career win to tie him with Rick Johnson, but also clinch his 3rd consecutive title. The industrial city of Cleveland opened up an interesting opportunity for Marty Reed. Let's see what he found.
Brake technology is constantly changing, and we're taking advantage of our location here in Cleveland to visit the Velvet Touch factory. No matter what type of vehicle, whether it's an M1 tank, where you've got to have a brake pad this size, or the Lockheed L1011, which has a pad this size, or what we're more familiar with, motorcycle pads, the problem still remains the same. You've got 4 key areas that you've got to solve.
One is, of course, we want to come up with a high coefficient of friction that's very stable. In other words, it stops as good at the end as it did at the first of a race. Number 2, we want to make sure that that brake pad doesn't tear up the rotors. It's got to be friendly toward the rotors. Number 3 is we want that pad to last a long time. We want to give a lot of durability. If people are running in a motocross, hare scramble, they want to make sure that they can finish the race. And then there's a 4th one that's more important in the street bike, is to make it quiet. So the real technology is, how can I achieve all 4 of those objectives in one brake pad? The key ingredient is the right combination of materials. We take copper powders, we take graphite, we take other ingredients to achieve our objectives in the brake. And we take those powders and we blend them, we check them for accuracy, and then these powders are put into a molding press. And under pressure, we make what you might think of as just like a cookie. And then we affix it to a backing plate. And then we take it and we put it in a furnace where we sinter it under approximately 1600 degrees. We don't know if there's anything the latest there in terms of the raw materials. It's still back to the formulation of those materials. That's the secret.
And on a track like we have here in Cleveland, they use those brakes a lot.
Well, it reminds me of, like in car racing, for instance, NASCAR. They run in Martinsville, Virginia, where the track is really small, and they've got to save the brakes for the end of the race.
Our Honda stopwatch. Let's get an interval between first and second. About 5 seconds. And then Henry is real close in 3rd. Ward about 10 seconds in back of the leader. Here's Hughes, who's just gotten around Dowd in 5th spot.
It'll be interesting now to see what the lap time is compared to the 125. I'm going to assume that it's a lot faster for the 250s, but sometimes on a tighter track, you're not able to open that up and really use the full horsepower. And at 125, you can be more aggressive in the tight stuff, so probably be pretty close. There's a look at Greg Auertine, who's having his problems tonight. Kyle Lewis, remember, he crashed in the first lap. Here comes Jeremy again.
Oh, it's going to be pretty close. I think we had a 47-second lap time for the 125, so about a second or so more.
Yeah, that's not as much as I expected, and maybe that wasn't one of his best laps. But let's check in with Skip Norfolk, who's down in the mechanics area with Marty.
Skip, you just showed him +5. I think he's got a nice, comfortable lead right now in your book.
Yeah, but, you know, these guys are going around this track pretty dang fast right now. One little bobble, and I think you're going to get eat up. So you can't relax it. You got to keep hammering. We got 8 laps left, and it's looking pretty good right now.
Are you starting to think like maybe history tonight?
Try not to think about that, but thanks for reminding me.
Skip Norfolk in a happy mood and has a right to be with his man out in front as we check out Jeff Emig in second place. Henry starting to pick it up after the little bobble.
Well, that's a real pivotal point in the race, and if Henry was able to make that stick, I think he'd be up there bothering Jeremy right now.
Number 7, Mike Kudrowski, finally starting to knock on some doors there with John Dowd. Kudrowski only 1 point away from Larry Ward for second place in the points chase, but he's coming off an 8th at Texas and an 11th at Charlotte, North Carolina. He's had some tough times lately, David.
That's true, but compared to previous seasons for Mike, he's having a pretty decent year. He's only 1 point out of the Outdoor National Championship. If you look at our Honda Jump Cam, Doug Henry coming through there. Mike's having a decent season, but, you know, he's just never really struck me as a great Supercross rider. He's just not consistent enough. Outdoors, though, he's one tough customer.
And the outdoor season, the thick of it, is starting to get pretty close. And Dowd does a nice job of cutting him off at the corner.
Well, Dowd knows now that Kudrowski's there. That's like knocking on the door, basically. When you run into some guy, even though you're not going to make that pass, you let him know you're there, and that guy starts thinking about you, and that's all you can really hope for on a track this tight. Force him into a mistake.
And mistakes happen fast on a track like this. Mike Kudrowski, as you saw, currently in 7th, wants to get closer to Larry Ward. He's only got 2 more races to go on the Supercross season to hopefully pick off that second spot.
You know, if these races were 30 minutes long, Kudrowski would have a pretty good shot at winning the title. But I think for him, the problem is he's going to have to get off ahead of Larry Ward to have a shot at beating him in this title chase.
Here goes MK. He's got the angle inside. Let's see what Dowd can do with it. Mike Kudrowski moving into 6th. Brian Swink getting by Dowd.
Well, Kudrowski just moved through there and opened the door wide, and Swink rolled right through it. It was an excellent move by Mike. That was the same place a lap before where he got in and showed Dowd a wheel, and Dowd just didn't cover the move.
And look at that corner they just went through. Lots of acceleration there before the finish line jump. It's already down to the plastic. The dirt moving around a little bit.
Well, they usually put the plastic down before they put the dirt down in an effort to save the grass in the football field. But these riders are, some places the dirt's just not thick enough, and they dig right through it.
Jeff Emig, second place in back of McGrath, and we'll be back with more 250 action from Cleveland, Ohio in a moment. Live action from the 250 main in Cleveland, Ohio, and Jeff Emig gets the yellow flag. You see, Michael Craig is down. Looks like he might be hurt seriously, maybe. He's not moving. The yellow flags are waving. Jeremy McGrath coming through the little jump section there. Jeff Emig has picked up some space on him. Henry's in 3rd.
Well, possibly when Jeremy came around there, saw the flags, he didn't do that triple, and you saw Emig came through there, actually doubled it. And whatever the case, Emig has closed the gap on our leader.
So we've got a close race on our hands, and still yellow flags in that portion of the course. The paramedics have surrounded Michael Craig. They're not moving him off the track, David.
Well, he could be unconscious right there, or, you know, when somebody lays that still, you can see Jeremy just passed him. When someone lays that still on the racetrack, you know, it's a pretty smart move not to move them, and you could probably do more damage. So they're doing the right thing there, but what's happening is it's right at the landing of the triple jump. So as these leaders come by, you know, if Jeremy doesn't jump the triple and Emig does, he's going to gain valuable time, and it's just a situation where they're trying to be safe and not impede the, you see all these guys work, they're in the track, and as the riders come by, they're in danger. So it's a really difficult situation for them and for the riders.
And the problem being for the officials now is the Red Cross flag is showing out there. They had instructions before the race. You see that flag, you do not double, you do not triple, you single every jump. And yet Jeremy McGrath and Emig are both jumping the double.
Well, you know what, Art? The double jump in a defense for the riders really is way before they get to where Craig is laying on the track. As they do that double, they still have to roll over another jump, and they're staying all the way against the outside edge of the racetrack, and they're really not in the way. If they were to triple that, that would be scary.
Larry Ward in 4th position behind number 4, Doug Henry.
Doug Henry appears to have slipped off the pace, and he wasn't that far behind Emig. Now maybe he's going a little slower through that area where all the action has taken place and has lost some time. And either way, it's unfortunate for Mike Craig, and I just hope that he's not hurt too bad.
Jeremy McGrath coming through the yellow flag area once again.